The KSM Show.
Okay, guys. Well, my next guest, man, I call this man Ghana's sexiest man alive, man. Show him some love, man. I call him a dapper. This guy, great gentleman, somebody I respect so much. One of the voices that I look up to, waking up to on the radio. He's a fine man. You know him. Put your hands together. Show some love for the king of morning shows, Kojo Yankson. Yeah. Kojo Yankson. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Wow, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, you'll be rolling. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Man, always dapper, man.
Thank you.
Damn.
Well, I knew I was coming to see my uncle. I had to put him right there.
But how's life been, man? How is radio? How is...
Not bad at all. You will remember the last time I was here, I had just started in
Yes.
this job.
Yes.
And it's been 3 years now. 3
Already?
years. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's been the time of my life. I remember telling you that this was my dream job. You know, so I came into it with so much expectation. I was looking forward to having the best time. And it's actually exceeded my expectations.
It's exceeded?
It absolutely has.
Wow.
It's the most exciting thing you can do with your mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's the most exciting thing you can do with your mind.
That's what I think. while your clothes are on.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
every morning you get up?
I wake up at 3:30.
3:30. When do you go to sleep?
Usually around 1.
Really?
1 a.m. Yeah, I've learned to survive on the minimum amount of sleep because there's just so much to do. I wake up at 3:30. I'm at work by 5. The show starts at 5:55 until 10, and then there are meetings and conferences and all manner of things cramming up the day. I don't remember the last time I left the office before 5 p.m.
Wow.
And then when I leave the office, then I have to go and do small galamsey and other things. I have a small consultancy that I run.
Oh, fantastic.
So, I keep busy. And then I go home and spend some time with my son. And then at some point, I have to open up my laptop and do some research to prepare for the next day. Usually by the time I'm nodding off, it's past midnight.
Really?
Yeah.
So just about 3 hours or so?
Yeah.
And you're okay with
most
it?
days.
Yeah,
most
young
days.
man. Yes, you see me.
I've got to say though, and this is something I discovered recently, that actually there is a bigger risk to your health if you're not getting enough sleep when you're young.
Oh, really?
Yes.
When you're young?
Yes, when you've lived longer, your body is able to handle less sleep. When you're younger, then you are at risk of high blood pressure and all.
Really?
Yes, I read this recently, which really made me sit up. And I've started to try and reprioritize so that I can get to bed a bit earlier. But it's not always possible.
And also hinting me that I should stay up a little longer.
Well,
Wow. Really?
Yeah. So.
Fantastic. And you're saying that all your expectations have been exceeded?
Oh, yes.
On radio?
Yes. Yes. I mean, the ups, even the downs.
Yeah.
Even the downs. When things don't go my way, it's still exciting.
Yeah.
You know, and every day is a learning experience. The thing I've learned about this job is that, well, actually, you can't do it unless you're learning. You know, you can't go and sit there thinking you know everything. In fact, that's when you mess up. If you can imagine it, it's fascinating and it's a wonderful learning experience. You know, the things that go in, some of it sticks, you know. So I'm getting a great education. Yeah.
Put your hands together, man. Anyway, the reason I keep inviting you to come again was that I had a presentation at TED Talks. And you came with a certain angle explaining how come, should I say, black folks are, to a very large extent, in most cases lethargic. It's like we don't have the energy to get up and go. And you came up with some interesting analysis. And I said, wow, could you come, let's talk about this, you know.
Yeah.
And so today the topic is called Modin Sane. For those of you who only understand, who don't understand Ga, it means Ubibiniasem. And for those who don't understand, she a black man palaver. No, Kojo, you came up with, you know, because we always say that, you know, that we seem to be a race that mostly we are relaxed, no sense of urgency. And let me hear how you explain this thing.
Okay, so it's a theory, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah,
so that
it's a theory.
It's a
Which
theory I
really
have.
Yeah.
I first started thinking about those who settled in Europe, you know, the Caucasians, the Westerners, the white man who first settled in Europe. I started thinking about what it must have been like for him. You know, you arrive on this continent that is almost entirely ice. You know, if you're going to eat, you must hunt. You must run faster than the slowest rabbit in order to get yourself some meat to eat. If you're going to survive, you must be stronger than the weakest bear, so that, you know, when you're attacked, you will survive. So you can defeat this bear and skin it and get some fur to keep yourself warm. You must build shelter before nightfall, otherwise you will die of cold. So essentially, you must succeed or die. You must be excellent or die. So for them, they weren't given the option of mediocre. And so they always had to operate at their best. Now, if things worked out, it was because they worked hard. If things didn't work out, it was because they didn't work hard. So they started to realize that everything was up to them. This is a concept which they must have clearly passed on from generation to generation to generation, so that they have built a race of people who have a certain sense of self-responsibility. That whatever will go well, they will have to make it go well. You know, they don't sit back and think that someone else should come and do it for them. You know, and even when religion came along, it was just another way of them reaffirming that, well, when you work hard, there is a reward at the end for you. Then I started contrasting it to how those of us who settled first in Africa, how we must have had it. Can you imagine? You know, lovely, lush rainforest, you know, trees with fruit everywhere. You stick your hand out of the cave and you pluck a mango and that's your lunch. You know, the animals won't even run away. You can just walk around and pick them up and make yourself some food. Whatever you need is around you. The weather is so brilliant, you don't even have to find clothing. You can walk around naked and feel comfortable. There was just no need to do anything because it was all provided. So you can imagine on those days when, you know, the food you made has, you know, finished and you're just feeling a bit tired, you don't want to really go out there and hunt, but you can smell the stew coming from your neighbor's cave and you're thinking, hey, how can I get some of this guy's food? You must come up with a good excuse. You must give him a good reason why he should share his food with you when food is so abundant. So then you go to him and you start making up excuses like, oh, my traps didn't catch any animals, the gods didn't smile on me, and so I didn't get any food. My confirm has flown to Burkina Faso. You know, so we, rather than having that sense of self-responsibility, grew a heightened sense of excuse making. We then became very good at making excuses. Now, Uncle, don't get me wrong. We're not lazy. We are strong men and women, Africans. And we are not lazy. But we are good at making excuses. So when things don't go well, it's always someone else's fault. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
You know, someone else didn't come and help us.
Yeah.
Someone else didn't build a school in our village. You know, someone else didn't take me to school. My parents are poor. Nobody gave me any opportunities. That's why I'm unemployed. You know, and you are rich. Your parents must have provided everything for you. You know, oh, the white man came and took away our forefathers. That's why we are still, you know, suffering as a continent. I don't think there is any white man alive who was involved in slave trade when it was happening. None of them are still alive. But we still find opportunity to blame them for our lot. You know, and we insist that it's their fault that we are where we are. And then we keep talking about mental slavery. Well, that is mental slavery. When you believe that it is not up to you. When you believe that your future is not in your own hands. that somebody else has to change their behavior before you can succeed. So you're sitting around waiting for it to happen. And that is the attitude that unfortunately we see around us in so many of our brothers and sisters. That's the thing we have to overcome. We are still living in a world of plenty.
Yeah,
and yet we are still hungry. It doesn't make sense.
Wow. Wow. And I like that link, though. I mean, going back to our ancestors and how they lived and how there was no urgency to do anything because everything was within your reach. And so that's a sort of trickle down into our nature.
Well, yes. And religion didn't help. You see, the thing about religion is that wherever you introduce it, it will adapt to what is there already. Now, when Christianity came to us, we already had our own religion. We already believed in the gods and so forth. And, you know, we had our own rules by which we lived our lives. And if the gods didn't permit A, you couldn't do A. If the gods say you can't farm on Tuesday, you can't farm on Tuesday. So your plants are dying, they need you to go and water them. But the gods say you can't farm on Tuesday. You know, religion came along, Christianity came along, organized religion, and for us, it simply became, whereas when the Westerners created religion, it became a means for governance. That's what it was. When when Christianity came along, it was a means for governance. Same for Islam. But eventually, they turned it into a reward system. So when you work hard, you live a good life, this is the reward at the end. For us, we had a sophisticated system of excuses. So when Christianity came, it was like the best excuse ever.
Do you see a way out? What's...
I think the solution is in our children. For some of us, it's too late.
But the children are being groomed in this same environment,
yes,
brought up to experience
the examples they have are not great.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we as adults, maybe we have to give ourselves a bit of a break. Give ourselves an excuse that, okay, for us, it's too late. Maybe for us, it's too late for us to change the way we think. But we must behave around our children in a way that will not bring them up into the same trap that we have unfortunately fallen into. So if we at least make a conscious effort to act differently around our children, it's a start. At least it gives them a chance. So if you're with your kids in the car and you are late for work, don't jump a red light. Because if you jump a red light and the police stop you and you bribe the police in front of the child, what you're teaching your child is that, well, actually, there are no consequences to doing the wrong thing. You can pay to have your way. And that lesson will never leave that child's head. And they will grow up to be, unfortunately, of the same mindset as we are. We have to give them a chance. We have to give them whatever chance we insist we were not given. Whatever excuse we've been making, or whatever reason we have been given for our lot. Let us make sure that our children will never have to come and say the same thing. If we think we are where we are because our forefathers were slaves, let our children never say that they are where they are because their fathers were mentally enslaved.
Give it up, man. And I agree so wholeheartedly with you. My I don't know, my breaking point, where I break is that I don't see a break in the cycle. You know, it's like, it's so steeped in us, our children are going to come and do the same thing, and their children. How do we break the cycle?
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. But you see, as long as we think it can't be done, then we're right. It can't be done. You know, but if we think we can, we just might. We just might. We have to actually think that this is doable. Maybe it'll take people like you and I talking about it. Maybe that's the beginning. Then the next step is the next conversation. You know, the next person who comes along and says, okay, so you've said this, you might be right, but then how do we practicalize it? Well, who has the resources to practicalize it? Well, maybe our nation, or maybe the private sector, or you know, then we start looking at the options that are available to us. But ultimately, no matter what the conversation brings up, individually, we must start acting differently around our children. We must. We must make them see that it's up to them. Just like the Europeans realize that they have to be either excellent or die. That's what we have to tell our children. There's no middle ground. you have to either do it right or you're not counted amongst the living. We have to physically decide individually to do this. And then little by little, the more of us do it, the more of the next generation will have a different mindset. And if they're able to, more of them are able to show their children, then little by little, we're growing a nation that actually believes that it's up to us.
And that's the key thing, man.
That's it.
It being up to us and the awareness that it is up to us.
That's all we need.
Wow.
That's all we need.
The Kojo Yankson. So, with the little sleep you get and all the work, what do you do to relax, man? You're coming up with a new book, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. In hopefully, very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. In a matter of weeks,
okay.
we should have the book out, and I'm so excited. This is my second book.
Fantastic.
It's called Inspiration from the Morning Man, and it's yet another collection of some of the stories that I use to inspire my listeners in the mornings.
Fantastic.
And so many of them are personal experiences. So if you want to know me, read my book because I talk so much about the things that have happened to me. I sometimes talk about things I've read, and how they impacted me, or movies I've watched. I learn lessons from everything. I'm probably going to think of a dozen lessons I've learned just from spending time with you today. And that's the way it should be. We should always look around us and ask, what are we learning? And I have benefited greatly from having that attitude, and that's where this book has come from.
Fantastic. The question is, what are we learning? You got to learn from every situation and how you can take advantage of what you have learned. The Kojo Yankson, thank you so much. Always a pleasure, man.
Always
a pleasure. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
If you're having as much fun as I am, stay tuned. If you're not, you need deliverance. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.